Hello, my name is Caleb Roberts. I'm currently a student at Clemson University studying business management with an emphasis in global supply chain and management. As I continue through my college career and prepare to enter the workforce, I've started thinking more seriously about what kind of manager, and eventually leader I want to become. The people who had the greatest influence on my ethical outlook are my family, especially my dad. Growing up, I was taught that your reputation is built through everyday actions, not just major decisions you make. I learned that being honest, keeping your word, and treating people fairly are important, even when doing so is inconvenient. My family has also taught me that making an ethical decision does not always mean choosing the easiest option. Sometimes it means admitting that you made a mistake, or having an uncomfortable conversation, or standing up for someone when it would be easier to remain silent. One ethical dilemma I faced happened during a group project for school in high school. Our group was responsible for completing a major assignment together, and everyone was supposed to contribute equally. However, one group member, particularly one of my best friends, missed meetings, responded late to messages, and had not completed much of their assigned work. And as the deadline got closer, the rest of the group became frustrated because we felt like we were being forced to carry all this extra workload. Um, the ethical dilemma was deciding how to handle the students' lack of participation. Some of the group members wanted to immediately tell the professor that the student had done nothing and should not receive the same grade as anyone else. Their frustration was understandable because it would have been unfair for someone to receive full credit for the work they did not complete. At the same time, it was one of my best buddy, and I did not know everything that might have been happening in their life. I knew they were going through some things, and I did not want to make assumptions or damage their grade without first giving them an opportunity to explain themselves. I decided the best first step was to reach out to him directly instead of immediately going to the professor. I explained that the rest of the group was concerned because the deadline was approaching and there was several parts that had been asked of them that they have not completed. I tried to be direct without attacking or embarrassing them. I also asked whether something was preventing them from participating. After talking with them, we learned that they'd been dealing with some personal things that were affecting their ability to attend the meetings and help out. Their situation did not completely excuse it like a communication, but it helped understand why. That they were not just simply refusing to help. We worked out a smaller, more clearly defined portion of the project that they could complete before the deadline. We also created a specific time for them to send their work to us, that the rest of the group would still have time to review it. Um, they eventually completed their part of the assignment, although the rest of the group still had to do more work than originally planned. When we completed the group evaluation, I tried to be honest about what happened without exaggerating or attacking him. I explained their participation had been limited, but that did not make an effort, that they did make an effort after I spoke with him. Looking back, I believe I handled this situation fairly because I considered both accountability and compassion, and I did not ignore the impact that his actions had on the rest of the group. But I also did not immediately assume the worst about him. If I'd faced the same dilemma today, I would do a few things differently. Most importantly, I would establish clearer expectations at the beginning of the project. I would have the group assign specific responsibilities, internal deadlines, and communication expectations from the start. I would also document who is responsible for each section of the project. That would make it easier to identify problems earlier instead of waiting on the final deadline that was approaching. The ethical framework that I'm most drawn to is virtue ethics, because virtue ethics is focused on the character of a person making the right decision and, like ethically drawn towards making the right decision just based on your values instead of only asking what rule applies and what outcome produces the greatest benefit. It asks what an honest, fair, responsible, and compassionate person would do. I connect with virtue ethics because I believe leadership begins with personal character. Especially in a business environment, employees and managers are constantly placed in situations where there might not be a perfect rule explaining what they should do. and a person with a strong character is more likely to make a responsible decision when everybody is watching. Virtue ethics also encourages people to build positive habits over time, including honesty, courage, fairness, patience, and accountability. And those become qualities that guide everyday behavior instead of values that are only discussed during major ethical problems. Um, in the group project situation, virtue ethics influenced me to consider several qualities at the same time. Fairness required me to recognize that the group members have deserved credit for their work, and honesty required me to accurately explain the student's participation. Compassion required me to listen to his situation before I judged him. Courage required me to have direct conversation instead of avoiding the conflict. However, virtue ethics is also has weaknesses. Different people may disagree about what a virtuous person might do. Qualities can also conflict with one another. For example, compassion towards one employee could become unfairness towards the rest of the team if that person is not repeatedly allowed to avoid responsibility. Because of this, I do not believe virtue ethics should mean simply doing whatever feels right. It should be supported by facts, workplace policies, and consideration of how the decisions might affect everyone involved. As I prepare to enter the workforce, I'm developing several strategies to keep me straight as an arrow and making these ethical decisions. The first strategy is to pause before reacting. Ethical situations often involve stress, frustration, or pressure. Making a decision while angry or on all these emotions can cause someone to exaggerate a problem or ignore important information. I want to develop the habit of slowing down, gathering the facts, and considering what and who could all be affected by a decision. I can ask myself whether I would be comfortable explaining my decision to a manager, coworkers, family, or the public. If I feel the need to hide this decision, that's usually a warning that something may be wrong. Another strategy is to seek different perspectives. In the workplace, I may face situations that I've never experienced before. Instead of assuming that I automatically know the best answer, I can consult a mentor, supervisor, HR representative, or a coworker. Asking for guidance is not a sign of weakness. It can help reveal risk or perspectives that I may have overlooked. A third strategy I'm developing is documenting important decisions in business, especially in areas such as supply chain management or manufacturing, something of those sorts. The decision can affect employees, customers, suppliers, and the reputation of the entire company. Keeping accurate records of what happened, what information was available, and why a decision was made creates accountability. Documentation can prevent confusion and protect everyone involved if questions arise later. Overall, my ethical approach is based on honesty, fairness, and responsibility, and respect for other people. The group project taught me that ethical decisions are rarely completely simple. A good decision requires understanding of the facts, holding people accountable, considering the effects on the others, and being willing to communicate directly. As I move on through the workforce, I continue to develop my character and decision making habits that will allow me to become a trustworthy employee and leader. And thank you for listening to me.